Barakata Yahweh, Barakata Yahushai, Bayishim, Barakakudash, Barakatum. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, glory, and infinite honors to Yahweh, Bayishim, Yahushai. Double honors to the apostles and elders, a great millstone who rule and teach well. In peace and salutations to Ya'akim out there, pushing this word in truth and sincerity to the four corners of the globe. May you brothers endure until the end. This is the Brother Raya with another video, and I'll be profiling a little bit of this video from ABC News' YouTube channel titled Crisis in Puerto Rico, Earthquakes, Pandemic, and Water Shortage. And this is all judgment from Yahweh Bayishim Yahushai on you so-called Puerto Ricans who are actually Israelites of the northern tribe of Ephraim for being wicked and refusing to return under your power, Yahweh Bayishim Yahushai, and going to your enemies, chiefly Esau Edom, the so-called white man, for help. And these calamities are only going to continue and get worse as we get closer and closer to the second coming of Yahushai HaMashiach, whom the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. Many more of you Ephraimite men, women, children, and elderly are going to die grievous deaths.
Now to the ongoing crisis in Puerto Rico, which just can't seem to catch a break. The island was still recovering from Hurricane Maria, then facing a barrage of earthquakes. Then the pandemic hit. Now they have a water shortage to deal with. We talked with people on the island who increasingly feel their government has abandoned them.
But first and foremost, it's Yahweh Bayishim Yahushai that's abandoned 2/3 of you Ephraimites for a season, for again your wickedness and refusing to return under your power, Yahweh Bayishim Yahushai. And even though you're going to die a grievous death on this side, you're still going to be reborn righteously in the kingdom of heaven through the loins of the elect.
For Zori Mendez, this scene is becoming all too familiar. Earthquakes and aftershocks, over and over again.
In 24 hours, there were 25 tremors.
Mendez is just one of thousands of people displaced due to more than 9,000 earthquakes that have hit Puerto Rico in the last 6 months. Forced to live in a tent due to damage to her home, she says she and others...
And that's one of the main reasons that Yahweh Bayishim Yahushai is jacking you Ephraimites up, because you're still following after that plantation Christianity doctrine. When you got on your knees to pray to God and Jesus for help, you got that false image of so-called white Jesus, Caesar Borgia, in your head. When Yahushai HaMashiach is clearly a so-called dark-skinned Negro with woolly white hair, when you read Revelations chapter 1. And Yahushai only came to save the 12 tribes of Israel, or the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, not you heathen nations, and even then, only the elect, the 144,000, and the rest of the righteous 1/3 on this side.
Other victims continue to see more destruction as the ground continues to shake, and all live in fear of what happens when the next big one hits.
We don't sleep. We worry that another quake could happen, and they are happening every day.
Those fears are made worse by the sense that they've been left to fend for themselves.
Ever since January 7, not a single government agency has visited us to see how we're doing.
It's just the latest in a series of disasters that continue to hit the vulnerable island. From the debt crisis to Hurricane Maria to earthquakes and COVID-19, and now a water shortage. Each new crisis piles on the last, making recovery from any of them that much more difficult.
During a pandemic, they tell you you can't leave your house, but during an earthquake, they tell you you need to leave your house.
Everybody has to get ready.
That's it with this video. If you continue to watch it, it's just more cooning from Ephraim, looking for help from everybody else except their power, Yahweh Bayishim Yahushai. This is Hosea Chapter 4. I'm going to read verse 17 to 19. Ephraim is joined to idols, let him alone. And you Ephraimites are definitely joined unto idols, again, chiefly that plantation Christianity doctrine with that false image of Caesar Borgia as a so-called Jesus Christ. And also you're joined unto that American dream ideology, thinking that if you work hard enough, you can become an honorary American, and that because you got straight hair and lighter skin than your Southern Kingdom brothers, then you've got more worth in this American society than they do. where you're in for even more of a hard awakening than what you're getting right now. Their drink is sour. They have committed whoredom continually, and that sour drink is these wines or philosophies that you Ephraimites have been given unto. Again, that American dream ideology, as well as anything that this so-called white man pushes. It's a well-known fact that a lot of you Ephraimite women like to dye your hair blonde so you can look more like that so-called white woman. Her rulers with shame do love, give ye. The wind hath bound her up in her wings, and they shall be ashamed because of their sacrifices. And that wind is all these different calamities that you're going to get swept up in as Yahweh Ba'ishim Yahushai continues to punish you for your wickedness and hard-headedness, from Hurricane Maria to the coronavirus, water shortages, and ultimately nuclear missiles hitting Puerto Rico. This is Hosea 9 verse 13. Ephraim, as I saw Tyrus, is planted in a pleasant place. And Puerto Rico means rich port in Spanish. And that landmass of Puerto Rico was a very beautiful place when those Edomite Spanish conquistadors got there. And when they got there, they raped, robbed, and murdered you Ephraimites. And fast forward today, you Ephraimites, like the other reprobates of the 12 tribes, have Stockholm Syndrome towards your enemies, your conquerors, these Edomites. And you follow after every word they say, and they're the first ones you go to for help. But Ephraim shall bring forth his children to the murderer, that murderer being Esau Edom, the so-called white man. And as we'll see from this clip on the Guardian's YouTube channel, after Hurricane Maria hit, who's the first people that you Ephraimites went to help for? Esau Edom. Trump throws paper towels into crowd in Puerto Rico, and Ephraim shall bring his children to the murderer. And as you'll see from this clip, look at how disrespectful these Edomites are towards you Ephraimites. You're just a Spanish-speaking brown nigger to them. And look at the coonery on these Ephraimites' faces. Oh, we're so happy to have the president throw paper towels at us like a football. It's disgusting. And again, these Edomites look at you Ephraimites with disdain. Hey, even though Trump was talking about the Issacharites, or so-called Mexicans, it might as well apply to the rest of you Spanish-speaking northern tribes. What did he have to say? That they're nothing but rapists and murderers and thieves and drug dealers, etc., etc. And look at how much he's disrespecting you in this press conference. Trump attempts to use Spanish accent to pronounce Puerto Rico.
We are also praying for the people of Puerto Rico. We love Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico. And we also love Puerto Rico.
Here you had these Ephraimites suffering during the aftermath of Hurricane Maria, and Trump's mocking your plight. But hey, not only do you northern tribes Israelites deserve to be mocked by you Edomites, but you southern tribes Israelites, or so-called Negroes, deserve to be mocked as well. Here you have the men of the Lord out here diligently telling you who your enemy is and how to get back to your power. But what do? You scoff at us and would put us to death if you could. A lot of you ask when you see the 12 tribe sign, where's the so-called white man? Well, hey, the so-called white man, the Edomite, is going to be your slave in the kingdom of heaven. And again, because you're wicked and refuse to return unto your power, Yahweh Ba'ishim Yahushai, and go to your enemies, chiefly Esau Edom, the so-called white man, for help, the Most High is going to put you down like a dog. This is Isaiah chapter 31. I'm going to read verse 1 through 3. Woe or destruction to them that go down to Egypt for help. And that's talking about the modern day spiritual Egypt, the United States of America. Just go to Revelation chapter 11, verse 8, that great city, which is known as spiritual Sodom and Egypt. And just look on the back of the $1 bill for further confirmation that pyramid or to the Washington Monument, which is an obelisk. And besides being known as spiritual Sodom and Egypt in the scriptures, the United States of America is also known as Babylon the Great. And stay on horses and trust in chariots because they are many, and in horsemen because they are very strong, but they look not unto the Holy One of Israel, neither seek Yahweh. Just because these Edomites are the top nation right now, especially in the United States of America, and the dollar is the world reserve currency, you Ephraimites, as well as you other tribes of Israel, look unto them for guidance and help. Yet he also is wise and will bring evil and will not call back his words, but will arise against the house of evildoers and against the help of them that work iniquity. Not only is Yahweh Ba'ishim Yahushai going to rise up against these Edomites, which you're clearly seeing he's doing right now by bringing down their kingdom, but he's going to rise up against those that go down to Egypt for help. You Israelites, as it says in Proverbs 11 verse 22, though hand join in hand, the wicked shall not go unpunished. Now the Egyptians are men. These Edomites, or so-called white people, are just men and not the Most High, and their horse is flesh and not spirit. When Yahweh shall stretch out his hand, both he that helpeth shall fall, and he that is hoping shall fall down, and they all shall fail together. You Israelites that rely on this system, just like these Edomites rely on this system, are both going to fall down and get destroyed. That's the spirit. Here's a perfect example of somebody who's gone down to Egypt for help. The so-called black woman or Judite woman in an Air Force uniform. Do you have what it takes? And you definitely have what it takes to get put to death by Yahweh Ba'ishim Yahushai for looking unto the Egyptians who were men for help and not the Most High. And hey, these Ephraimites, like you other 12 tribes, have been warned by the prophets of the Most High that if you look to these other nations for help and not unto your power, you're going to be put to death. Here's a clip I found of a brother down in Puerto Rico in GMS preaching unto you Ephraimites the words of Yahweh Ba'ishim Yahushai. And it's got a Google Maps pin in Mayagüez, which is in Puerto Rico. Hermano GMS profetizando la ley marcial in Puerto Rico, and that means a brother in GMS professes to you Puerto Ricans of martial law, roughly paraphrasing.
Preparados para traer todo esto, ¿para quién? Para nuestro pueblo, las 12 tribus de Israel, que son los llamados negros, latinos y indios norteamericanos, igual como las taínas, que son de la tribu de Efraín.
Point blank period. You Ephraimites have no cloak for your maliciousness when Yahweh Ba'ishim Yahushai really drops that hammer of judgment and destruction on you. This brother has gotten the blood off his hands, just like all the other brothers preaching this word have gotten the blood off our hands, and will not be held responsible when Yahweh Ba'ishim Yahushai comes and gives you exactly what you deserve. This is Ezekiel chapter 3, verse 17 to 21. Son of man, I have made thee a watchman unto the house of Israel. Therefore, hear the word of my mouth, and give them warning from me. When I say unto the wicked, thou shalt surely die, and thou givest him not warning, nor speakest to warn the wicked from his wicked way, to save his life, the same wicked man shall die in his iniquity, but his blood will I require at thine hand. Again, if the men of the Lord didn't go out there on the highways and byways to preach this word, or put up video epistles like this to let you Israelites know who you are according to the Bible, who your enemies are according to the Bible, and that you have to give off from the ways of these heathens and follow unto the laws, statutes, and commandments of Yahweh Ba'ishim Yahushai, we would be in the same boat as you and get put to death. But as it says, yet if thou warn the wicked, and he turn not from his wickedness, nor from his wicked way, he shall die in his iniquity, but thou hast delivered thy soul. Hey, we've given you warning, so again, the blood is off of our hands. Again, when a righteous man doth turn from his righteousness and commit iniquity, and I lay a stumbling block before him, he shall die. Because thou hast not given him warning, he shall die in his sin, and his righteousness, which he hath done, shall not be remembered. but his blood will I require at thine hand. Nevertheless, if thou warn the righteous man that the righteous sin not, and he doth not sin, he shall surely live, because he is warned. Also, thou hast delivered thy soul. And as I said at the beginning of the video, these calamities are only going to continue and get worse for not just you Ephraimites, but all 12 tribes of Israel. And many more men, women, children, and elderly are going to die grievous deaths. I'm going to close it out in Ezekiel chapter 9, verse 4 through 6. And Yahweh said unto him, Go through the midst of the city, through the midst of Jerusalem, and set a mark upon the foreheads of the men that sigh and that cry for all the abominations that be done in the midst thereof.
Ustedes son descendencia de las 12 tribus de Israel, los llamados negros, latinos, indios, norteamericanos. Igual como la confusión de
Set a mark upon the foreheads of the men that sigh and cry for the abominations that are done therein. And that mark, or thawah, is a spiritual mark of exemption. So those death angels that Yahweh Ba'ishim Yahushai is going to send unto you wicked Israelites are going to pass over these men. Again, because we've been watchmen unto the nation of Israel and have gotten the blood off of our hands by warning you of what's to come. And to the others he said in mine hearing, Go ye after him through the city and smite. Let not your eyes spare, neither have ye pity. These death angels that Yahweh Ba'ishim Yahushai is sending to judge and put you wicked 2/3 Israelites to death. Slay utterly old and young, both maids and little children and women, but come not near any man upon whom is the mark, and begin at my sanctuary. Then they began at the ancient men which were before the house. So whether ye be young or old, man or woman, crippled or not crippled, single or married, virgin or not virgin, the Most High is not a respecter of persons. And if you don't have that spiritual mark of exemption, you're going to get put to death by those death angels because you're not of the elect. So with this video, I hope you sincere Akim were edified. Just keep strong and keep pushing this word. We're almost out of this final wicked captivity of the heathens, chiefly Esau, Edom. And as always, I'm going to say Abad Babal, Kwam Yasharala, and until next time, Shalom.